Las Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world, it's the Joe Cortez Show.
Hello and welcome to the Joe Cortez Show here in Las Vegas, Nevada, the entertainment capital of the world, the sports capital of the world, because now all sports are coming in to Nevada. You know, we got the baseball, we got the hockey, we got the boxing, we got the UFC, we got the
women's basketball,
we got everything. But today we have a special guest with us. We're talking about sports. So we have a gentleman here who does what you call sports performance supplements that he'll explain to you about. But his name is Craig Dinkle, and he is the founder and CEO of Biotropic Labs. Can you tell us a little bit about your background? First of all, thank you for coming out all the way from Austin, Texas.
Well, the pleasure's mine.
Austin, Texas. I was 70 miles from where I did my advanced infantry training in the Army in Fort Hood, Texas.
Very good. Very
and here we are in Las Vegas, relaxing a little bit to talk about what you bring to the world of sports. And we bring a lot of good stuff because, I mean, sometimes we get in good shape. Me as an ex-professional fighter, we stayed in shape and whatnot. We didn't have all this up-to-date, the latest techniques that's out there for enhancing performance supplements, and this is something that's all legal. It's all something that we want to know about. Can you explain to us a little bit about some of the products that you bring to the table?
Yeah, sure. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. It's my pleasure to be here with a legend. So thank you very much for having me. Special day for me. Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Biotropic Labs came about because I was competing on a world-class level at one time. Not anymore, but...
Okay, at the Olympics?
Yeah, well, training for an Olympic team, a couple of Olympic teams, and I was always looking for a competitive edge.
And that was what sport was that?
It's swimming. I was a sprint freestyler, butterflyer, and going up...
Butterfly?
Yeah. That's the easy stroke.
Yeah.
That's the easy one. That's the one everyone says, you don't need to teach me that one, Craig. I got that.
But you had it to do with Muhammad Ali, float like a butterfly,
sting like a bee.
I was a good floater. I couldn't. Speaking of stinging, by the way, we talked about this a little earlier. I learned, something about your sport when I was taking Hapkido at one time.
Yeah, what do you know about boxing?
I know nothing about boxing except how hard it is because Hapkido uses boxing as the upper body work.
Okay.
A lot of the usual martial arts moves too. But boxing, and I had no idea how tough and how much talent it took to be a great boxer till I got my ass kicked in the ring with people who really knew how to box. So changed how I looked at boxing, for a long, long time.
Well, to me, you're a champion. Anybody steps into the ring, you're already a champion.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
It takes a lot of guts to step up to 4 steps into the ring. You're in that ring, you're a champion in my book already.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Well, what I was trying to do is gain a competitive edge. I was, as I mentioned, going up against some very strong athletes at the highest level, trying to get on 1 or 2 Olympic teams, and I was looking for legal ways to get a competitive edge because anybody can do it illegally.
Sure.
But
then you get caught, though.
Then you get caught, and then it's all over. And these days, it makes no sense to do it that way. It never did make any sense. But it's just.
Well, you say talking about illegal. I mean, at the 2020 Olympics, you're talking about the Russians.
Yep.
They're not going to be able to compete under the Russian flag because
Yep. The IOC just banned them for the next 2020 Olympics because of their serious substance abuse. They've been doping for a long time. One of the female swimmers at the last Olympics, I wish I could pull her name out of my hat, but she was very upset that, hey, is she there? Very upset that she was going toe-to-toe right then and there with a Russian athlete who was known to be shooting up. And breaststroke, 100-meter breaststroke, was one of the best events at the Olympics because she took her out, and when she had beaten her, right there for the whole world to see in the pool, she just looked at her with a derisive sort of look and said, "I got you anyway," even though because they let her compete at the last minute. Mm-hmm. Why they did this in the last Olympics, I don't know. But this was all about trying to get a competitive edge legally, so that if you are competing at the highest levels, you don't have to worry about doing anything illegal, doing something wrong that's going to get you knocked down either right then, because they take your blood right after you swim or right after you run. Or years later, and now that's what they do. They keep vials of this stuff, and they can take your metals, as we see it happens a lot right now, 5-10 years later with new DNA technology that's coming out.
Right.
Wow. But they do it for boxing and UFC, most combat sports. They do the drug testing before the fight. And sometimes even during training period, months before, 90 days before, they can come in randomly at your home or wherever you're at and get you to do the test right there.
At any time. At any time. Yeah, I was stunned at one of my Olympic trials. Stunned is maybe too strong a word, but I remember getting out of the pool, and the people who made the Olympic team they didn't get to leave the deck. They had to sit right there on the deck, and their blood was drawn right there on the deck. Now, I don't think they quite do it that way today, but that's how serious they are about making sure
Which
you're
is
not
good.
violating. It's very good. It's very important. Son, look at.
It drew the blood right there?
Right there on the
You don't
pool
have to
deck.
pee in a cup.
No, well, that happens, I think, but you can't do that on the deck with 1,000 people watching.
Oh, okay. I was
Thank
just,
goodness.
I was just asking.
Fair enough, but they do make you do all that stuff. But so the idea that I was trying to do is nothing off the shelf was working for me. So I started playing. I was working with a doctor at the time who was very strong in nutrition. And I'd had no success, and he wanted to be involved in one of my Olympic runs and said, well, let me take over the nutrition aspect for you. And I said, fine, no problem, but I've stopped taking supplements because nothing seems to be working for me. I smell like supplements, I'm peeing supplements, I'm sweating supplements. When you're taking a lot, and I take like 32 pills in the morning, just in the morning. So sometimes I'd have to just lay down too because it was tough on the system. It fatigues your system when you take that much stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, you definitely will notice it. And so there's something to be said too about overdosing with supplements too and fatiguing your system, especially before you compete. That's the last thing you want to do is do anything that's going to further fatigue your system when you're about to go box in the ring or get on the deck in a swim meet. So the whole idea was to try to find something that would work. I agreed with this doctor to let him take over my nutritional work, and we didn't have the internet at that time. And honest to God,
Oh my gosh, how long ago was this?
Well, yeah. I'm not going to go that far back. I'm not, but let's just say that we had to work pretty hard, and just one day, the way I say it, it's sort of a cliche way to say things, but we fell ass backwards into something that worked on my chemistry. And I always say that when you're taking supplements, it's all personal. It's all based on your own chemistry, whether something works or not. So I speak only for myself, except that I now know, having brought this stuff forward, that we have lots of users at the highest levels, professional users, ultra runners, podium, triathletes, Olympic trials, qualifiers are on it right now, and cyclists, and everybody in between. What I like to say is we make this product for people who move. Right. But I'm digressing a little bit. So the bottom line is we were able to fall into something that worked on my chemistry. And at that time, I wasn't a businessman. I was just trying to make an Olympic team, and I wasn't thinking about helping anybody. I was thinking about helping me.
Yourself.
Yeah, to get an edge on, let's say, Rowdy Gaines, who's now the Olympic commentator for swimming. You might know his name. And people like Matt Biondi, big guys, and I'm trying to chase them down.
Right.
I'm the guy nipping at their heels.
So what other services do you provide to athletes?
Well, primarily we do the sports supplementation. We offer training too.
Training.
We do, but most of the people that come to us, I think one of the questions that was asked earlier is what kind of people do you work with? This is originally aimed at people who are competing at the highest levels.
Right.
They don't need any training, at least from me. They've got that all nailed down. They've got their coaches, their trainers, and that whole group of people that work with them. But I realized I was leaving out a lot of other people that are trying to do something.
Right.
People who are just trying to get a personal record or a personal best doing something, and even people
Right.
just working out at the gym who
Right.
take that seriously, who are trying to maybe lose some weight or get a little more muscle mass or more vasodilation, more blood to their muscles. So I changed the let's say the tagline to for people who move.
I know, I like that a lot.
For people who move. So,
Whatever kind of movement it is.
right. And these are
Well, I
all.
don't know about the muscles anymore, but
You got to lift. You got to do gun work. Gun work. But these are all blood oxygen oriented. They all have the same basic
Can you
theme.
tell us a little bit about each one of these
Yes,
products?
yeah, we'll tell you about
The
each
flagships,
one.
right?
These are the 5 flagships that I custom formulate. They're not white labeled. They're not off the shelf. I make these, as I have said so many times in the past. I'm sort of the clinical study here. I got to find out what works on me based on the things I'm doing at this particular time in my life. At that time, it was swimming. Right now, I do a lot of class 4 climbing in the backcountry. That's why I've lost so much weight right now. I just came off the high Sierras, and
You look like a climber to me.
well, walker, really.
Yeah, well, of course.
My brother's a class 5 climber. He's doing the ropes and rappelling and all that stuff, but I don't really go that far unless he's out there. But so each of these products does something slightly different than the rest. The basic theme here is blood oxygenation. So what I'm trying to do, because I was a sprinter, and I was always trying to find a way to get more blood, more oxygen, and more good stuff to my muscles when I was working out, so I could have longer, tougher, or stronger workouts.
Right.
And hopefully with more higher level training, I'd have better athletic outcomes.
Right.
So this is one of the bottles we have here.
So we are looking at Alta Fuel. Alta Fuel is something that's relatively new, and this one we're looking at is the regular one. So Alta Fuel was designed with high altitude athletes in mind. So this would be mountain climbers, ultra runners that are running around the Leadville 100 or 150, whatever that is, the ultra runners, cyclists at high altitude, anyone who's doing something at altitude. And this particular one, these are designed to deliver higher levels of iron and oxygen and push back at acute mountain sickness and hypoxia. So that's what these are designed to do. And the one I think we're looking at now, as I say, that one is a desiccated liver component, so it's got a meat component to it, which is the second highest that I know of meat that gives the highest level of bioavailability of B12 and iron. The other one here, I don't know if we're showing it here, it's got a 3 on it, it's cubed. Well, that's Oxia, we've jumped. Well, let me just, all right, we'll talk about Oxia. So Oxia is a pure vasodilator, and what it's designed to do, say you have a really healthy diet, you're doing everything right, you don't need any extra support supplements. Oxia is designed for that kind of individual, and what it's supposed to do, what it does do, is vasodilate at the highest level. It uses L-citrulline and malic acid is a great transporter of L-citrulline to get that vasodilation happening much, much quicker, and it's infused with cordyceps, which is well documented to deliver higher levels of oxygen at a cellular level. So the Oxia product is really clean, super high energy product that's designed to hyper-vasodilate. And a lot of bodybuilders like to use this before their training routine starts to get a pump. But again, I designed these more in line with when I was going to say endurance athletes, and that could be anywhere for someone who's training 4,000 or 5,000, 6,000 yards a day if you're a swimmer. I can't really relate it to running because I don't know how far runners go, long way. But endurance athletes, sprinters, it's all just designed to give that vasodilation so they can get more blood and more oxygen to where
How
they need
about
it.
for a boxer or somebody who competes in combat sports?
I think of combat sports and boxing, heavy shoulder work and heavy leg work and heavy cardio. And I think of those, believe it or not, I think of those as a combination of, this is hard to really articulate, but there's it's a hybrid sprint / endurance sport because you're in there doing your thing and you're doing a lot of explosive energy, but you've got to make that last for 12 rounds. So I think
there's trainers that will train a fighter and have him, you got to flurry your punches and slow a little bit, slow up your pace, relax, don't get too tight. You get too tight, you lose your energy, you seem to get tired more. So you got to keep your arm kind of loose, but you have to be strong enough to go the distance and be able to punch at the same time, have the reflexes and move around. So it's a lot of things that go on in boxing that I think a lot of these supplements will be good because you train and then you adjust in between with this kind of supplement. I think it'll just make you feel you can recover that energy a lot quicker with this than without it.
Well, you just said two really, I think, very important things, pace management through the fight and recovery. And that would be the AFA product, I think, would be the best thing for the boxer. I would, for a boxer, especially a high-level boxer, I'd probably stack that with the Oxia product we looked at here a minute ago. And in here is an AFA product. It's actually there it is right there, highest seller. It's got the creme de la creme of the blue-green algae in it, AFA. It also has cordyceps. It also has beetroot. So this and an electrolyte circuit, which is critical for athletes.
So which one are you talking about now?
This is called the AFA Formula. AFA. AFA is an acronym.
That's one on the screen right now.
Yep.
And the acronym stands for?
I always mispronounce this, so I'm just going to say the second part of it, FLOSSQUA.
FLOSSQUA.
There's no excuse for me not being able to pronounce it at this time because I've used it for so long. And this is the one that goes all the way back through my history of trying to find something that would work on my chemistry when I was trying to get on an Olympic team, is that particular product. There's a couple of ingredients I've added. I wasn't using cordyceps at the time. I use that now for the oxygen delivery. But I think this is really great because it's well documented. The AFA blue-green is well documented to has a nootropic effect, higher levels of concentration, and it's also known to help with recovery, which is what you meant, or what you were talking about. Yeah. High vasodilation capabilities through the beetroot beetroot powder in here, and the oxygen delivery. So it's a really, really good product. It's an all-in product, I believe, for anyone who's
Moving?
Anyone who's moving. But I think, as Joe put it, someone who's moving the way a boxer does, where you have to pace and manage and moments of explosiveness, and then all the way through, often 12 rounds. I mean, how long does a boxing fight averagely go?
Yeah, well, it depends. It's 50-50 because there's a lot of stoppages, but then there's a lot of fights that go to distance.
Well, the other reason I think it's great for everybody, I think that's my favorite, that along with Oxia. And everyone has their own favorites. It's because it's my favorite. It doesn't mean it's, it's the right one for you. I always say, look, I have a long background in sports, and I never pretend that anything I make or anything that you're trying is going to work on you or is going to work on me. You have to try it, and you have to find out. If it doesn't work, you just send it back or you bring it back to the store. But it worked on me. It works on a lot of people. I believe it'll work on everybody. But everyone has to decide for themselves.
Okay, now, some individuals that may be on some meds, some medication, would that hinder their medication with any side effects, taking any meds besides taking the supplements?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. So far, and that's such a great question. I don't present myself as a doctor of any kind whatsoever. So far as I know, there are no contraindications anywhere. But you should check that out yourself.
With your doctor?
Yes, a great point.
Actually, tell your doctor, I want to take this supplement that's going to make me be a superstar according to what I have, my skills and my smarts and the little extra energy that I need, but will this interfere with the meds that I'm taking for my sugar or for my high blood pressure, whatever it may have, anything, they may have some kind of medication for whatever, whether for the flu, they may be taking some kind of medication. We want to make sure that there's no side effects mixing it with this stuff. You don't want to blow up overnight.
That's right, yeah. I'm a type 2 diabetic, and so I have to think of those things too.
And what's good for type 2 diabetic? I am too.
Oh boy, that's a different subject, and here's my experience with being a type 2 diabetic. First of all, it doesn't make sense for me. I don't have any of the
side effects, like me neither.
Yeah, I don't get any of the side effects. I don't know when I'm high. I don't know when I'm low. That's on blood sugar, that is, not.
Yeah, not with alcohol.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, we're in Vegas, so it could be anything, right? But for me, it's interesting. It's a great question because it makes me think of the supplement industry as a whole now. Because, as I say about these products, I make no guarantees that it's going to work on your chemistry. You have to find out. As I say, they worked on me. It's the same thing with my diabetes. I find that I've got to try everything to find out what's going to work. It might be over the counter, it might be not over the counter, and it just is a long road of experimentation to find out what's going to work. And it can
be different with different bodies for a simple reason. Like I say, I may be allergic to something, to peanuts, and maybe you're not allergic to peanuts. So it could be, this may be good for me, but not good for you. It depends on the body. We don't know until we try it, really.
And the other thing is, I haven't yet experimented with on the diabetes side so far on what of the natural raw ingredients might work in you. But I can say this, that in the Alta Fuel product, there's a rhodiola crenulata, which no one's ever heard of before. It's a unique version of rhodiola that matches up well with cordyceps, that does things for the Alta Fuel or the high altitude athlete that you can't get in anything else, like push back at acute mountain sickness and push back at hypoxia. But there's scientific studies out there that says rhodiola crenulata also reduces insulin sensitivity.
Wow.
And Chlorella also. We were looking at the Chlorella stack here a minute ago. They say the same things about Chlorella. Now, I'm guilty of not, because I have a pretty serious problem, you do too, of not experimenting yet to find out if those will work better than the prescriptions that I have to take right now. So I have to learn more about that.
Maybe that's a 2020 challenge.
That is a 2020 challenge. There's no reason, there's no reason why there shouldn't be one or two more things. Yeah, there's Chlorella right there. Again, just a reminder, all of these things are blood oxygen themed. They all have a basic theme to them, which is all about vasodilation and getting more oxygen and healthier nutrients to your muscles when you're training in hopes of having a better competitive outcome when you're in the ring.
Well, I have a couple of questions in regards to athletes, that the high performance. Can people contact you so that they can actually find out what's the best product for me to be taking as an athlete, not necessarily me, but as a high performance athlete to be taking, so that they can actually get the right products, that they're not, can they actually contact you?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. It's a great question too. Absolutely. We respond to everybody. We take customer service and just respond. I don't even like to use the word customer service because it makes it sound like, it's...
Yeah.
They're a number, they're not.
Yeah, it doesn't sound as genuine, as authentic as I
Understood.
want it to be. I take people seriously. The reason I got into this is because I understand what athletes go through. I care about
Right.
what they go through, how they sleep, how they train, the mental anguish, the physical, everything they go through, I really
The
understand.
before, during, and after.
All of it,
Yes.
recovery.
There on the screen, you have all the.
All the ways to get in touch
Oh,
with,
yeah.
with
Yeah.
Craig
Hey,
right
look at
here.
that. They're all there. But I will respond to everybody and anybody. And if anyone asks me, what to do, my response is often, tell me what you do. What is your
Right.
sport? How often do you give me an average week? What does an average training week look like? What does it look like if you're an athlete that has to taper? I'm going to want to look at what tapering looks like, and I want to know what it looks like the week of or the day of training. Everyone's different. Boxers are a little different than runners, and
Right.
swimmers go through a tapering period of anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks, and I need to know all that stuff. And so I will give a full, or one of my team, myself or one of my team,
Right.
will give a very full, in-depth explanation of what we think you need to be doing, and we'll
Great.
work with you till you get it right.
Great.
Because sometimes this is really critical for athletes too. We all sometimes give up a little too easy when something's not quite working, and that can be about dosage, that could be taking the wrong product, and it's really critical if you're looking for something that you spend time trying to, whoever it's with, whether it's me or someone else, that you spend time trying to get it right rather than quitting and moving on to the next thing before you know for sure. So
Well,
we work
I
very
can tell you
closely.
one thing, that these products, and from you talking to me the other day, we're going over to your supplement. I think this is the way to go. The modern day technology was out there today. The supplements that are out there. There's nothing like there was 20 years ago. This is all
Yeah,
the
it's
latest.
changed.
The latest.
Yeah.
It's changed. If you hear about stuff that people were doing 10, 15 years ago, no, this is the latest. It's like the internet service, anything on social media. Everything changes from day to day. It gets better and better and better.
That's right.
And you can get so much more out of such little bit. Now this here, you can buy a bottle of this here, well maybe instead of getting a big giant thing, you may have it all right in this small little bottle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to travel if you're going to go away for a month, 2 weeks, 3 weeks someplace to take those big containers of the powder supplements
Well,
you take. You take one of these little one, pop it in your pocket.
It's a great point.
You're ready to go.
It's a great point. Let's just talk about why they look. It probably doesn't need, this is sort of standard, this is the way things sort of look, but one of the areas I made a mistake on when I was competing is overdosing. We just can't seem to get out of our heads as athletes that that more is
Take
better,
more in.
and more is not better. This is my view. Okay, reasonable people will differ, but my view is more is not better based on my own experience. Because we were discussing earlier, is that if you overdose or just take too much of this stuff, it fatigues the digestive system. Sometimes it makes you nauseous for a little while, and if you have a fatigued system when you get into the ring against Mike Tyson, or you get into the pool up against Michael Phelps, you're not going to have your best event. And so a lot of what I tried to do when I was formulating this, and as I again said earlier, I think of myself as the clinical, trial. I try everything out of myself till I get the effect that I want.
Right.
These have the lowest dose, I think, required. So you're not getting more than you need. And the other reason it's important to get the lowest dose that's going to work on you is because anything that's excess, these are premium products. These aren't $25 products. You want to be able to make sure that you're taking what's going to work and not wasting it, as we talked
Sure.
earlier, having it just excreted from the system in the various manners that it gets excreted. That's just a waste of time. And when that's happening, it also is an indication that your body's working overtime to digest the product.
Not
You don't want that.
only is it a waste of time, besides it's a waste of money.
It's a waste of money.
When you buy all this stuff over the counter.
And it
you
can
go to-
impact your performance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I
it's-
was going to actually add, shouldn't a person possibly try using these products on their off season or when they're not competing to find out what exactly is working for them?
That's $1 million question. Now I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Now, the question's a great question.
Okay.
But the reason I'm going to say no is if I think of myself, let's say I'm mid-season, I'm tired, I'm doing my 10, 12,000 yards a day, and
Sure.
NC2As or Olympic trials is coming up, or whatever it is I'm trying to do. It's on the horizon. I'm not thinking of waiting till the season's over
Okay.
to try
Sure.
that
That
hope
makes
that
sense
next
too.
year it's
Right,
going to
right,
work.
right.
I need to know now. So there's very, very little risk, I think. Look, athletes are competing at such a high level that the best of these things are going to give them a boost.
Right.
All right. So they're not going to. I think they're not going to lose anything by switching from what they're on if something sounds right here and trying one of my products, or leaving my product and trying something else. I would encourage every athlete first of all, to make their own decision. This is
Sure.
highly personal stuff. To make their own decision. But my own view is that it's perfectly safe as long as you're months away. I wouldn't do it at all, maybe 1
Day
month
before.
away or 2 weeks away from anything. I'd stay with what you're doing. But let's say you're mid-season or even 70% of the way through and you're still, doing the hard, heavy work. I'd make the switch. I would want to know.
Right.
Because any way I can take down one of the guys you're going to be roughing, or as I say, I always use Michael Phelps because everyone's chasing him, and that's my background. I identify with him and Lochte and Biondi, and those are the people that I relate to. So look, if you're going after those guys, you got to. It's now.
Right.
It's now.
Right.
It's not tomorrow.
Now,
Go ahead.
well, I was just going to add, we have like a special because people
Well,
are watching
yeah,
this show,
yeah,
and
we
there's a
do.
way that they can take a promo code.
Well, I want them.
That's been
Of course, I
created.
want your audience to try it out. And,
Absolutely.
we'll do something special. So if I hate doing this. It just never sounds right. I don't know how to do this in any way.
Well,
that
better
sounds-
you than
Yeah,
us.
Better me than us. But Cortez 25 will get 25% off anything that you want to try. Completely risk-free. The burden of proof is always on me. I always say it's on me. If it doesn't work, you just send it back. And for Joe's viewers, we'll also give free shipping too. So if people want to try it, I'd be glad to have you try it. If not, no harm, no foul. But I think you'll like it, and
And
you'll
can
find it'll make a big
people
difference.
all over try this
I
product?
sell globally. The whole
Okay.
world is buying from me,
That's
and I
the
also
word we
encourage.
wanna hear.
Yeah, I'd also encourage you to look at the testimonials on the website before you buy. And these are all authentic. I don't chase people down. These testimonials come to me, and only when they come to me do I put them up. So I could have 100 testimonials up there, and I don't even know what the number is, maybe 20, 25 up there, because they're true, they're real, they're authentic, and I don't ask anybody for them unless they tell me.
Right.
This is really working for me. This is really changing
Yeah,
me.
you've got some amazing athletes that have.
I'm very proud
Yes.
of the people
Yes.
we work with.
There's a promo
There it is,
code.
promo code Cortez25,
Yes, there
and
it
get
is.
25% off that
Not
order.
only you get 25% off, but you're going to feel like you're 25 years young. You see?
Ooh, sign me up.
and sign me up, right.
That's the side benefit we didn't discuss. It's really an age an age reducing
There you
formula.
go, there you
yeah.
go. There you
Ooh,
go.
I like it.
Yeah. Very good.
I feel like I still kick some butt out there. And we're taking this here. I may want to take out some of the best champions out there today because it makes me feel like I got a little spark of the old Flash. You know what I'm talking about?
That's right.
Well, you definitely look great. There's no question about that.
Yeah, yeah.
I just say I don't think we talked about the benefit of the Chlorella stock here, and basically this is again all blood oxygen oriented, all blood oxygen themed, and the Chlorella basically binds with heavy metals and pollutants in the bloodstream and eliminates them through the liver. The oxy, as I mentioned earlier, is a pure vasodilator. The Chlorella, by the way, is also a vasodilator.
And vasodilator
Vasodilator just means opens up the blood vessels so
Okay.
that you get a wider blood vessel and more blood traveling through it.
Hey, does that help you when you go on a honeymoon?
I know exactly. Listen, this is true. I sell these as sports performance products.
Just asking.
But no,
Just
I
asking.
have had people.
But whatever.
I have had men email me and ask, knowing that there are vasodilation properties in
Sure.
here, if it will work, for ED. And I say, gee, look at. I understand the problem, but I sell them as sports performance supplements, but the ones that have it in there, try it out
Sure.
and let me know.
Because some people feel like when they go on a honeymoon, it's like a sports event for them. I mean, they got to burn a lot of energy. They got to run a lot of miles.
That's a good point. I should have answered it that way. That's true. It is a sports event for a man, especially. That's true. Boy, a lot of talking about performance anxiety.
Yeah,
right?
they're talking about combat sports. I mean, it's like wrestling, It's like you're getting in with it. You're
Yeah.
grabbing and you're holding.
yeah,
I mean, you need energy for that.
Yeah, it's a combination of,
Yeah.
of pacing, sprinting, managed workout,
Right.
and performance anxiety.
Yeah, right. So you can perform in the morning, in the afternoon, and at night.
And I
It's
like that the promo code got put back up there just for extra added incentive, benefits, all of the above.
It's funny, though, that you did ask that, because I have had a very small handful of people reach out to me, and I do believe I have I did put one testimonial up there. We shouldn't even be talking about this, but I did put one testimonial up there that does speak to this, because I did have a couple of people, reach out to me and say, hey, this is happening, and is this normal? Should this be happening? And I said, look, all I can tell you is that I don't know about boxing, but in swimming, we never. How do we say this? We try not to have extracurricular activities the day before the event.
Oh, right.
No.
It said that about boxing. In boxing, they say that don't do
Conserve the
that.
energy.
You lose your legs. You have no legs.
That's right. No
in
legs,
boxing,
no
so
legs.
they stay away.
So I say, if you're finding that you're having that effect and you're a competitor, just don't blame me if you engage in extracurricular activities before
Day
you
before.
compete.
There you
Yeah,
go.
day before, whatever. But yeah, it does have vasodilation effect, and it has helped some people in that area. But I want to be clear, by no means is this a panacea. This was created with the idea in mind originally. This goes back a long way. Been doing this a long time. At a time when I wasn't even thinking about going into the business, just trying to get a competitive edge. And these are all built around sports performance and trying to help people move better and train better and have better competitive outcomes. So I want to make sure we don't get lost on the whole ED thing.
Anyway, we want to thank you, Greg Dinkin, the founder and CEO of Biotropic Labs. And it's an honor to have you here in Las Vegas.
My pleasure.
Sin City, you come here with good ideas to keep the people not committing any sins, but making sure that they at least get to the pearly gates, they get into heaven. Because this is not Sin City, as far as I'm concerned. This is a city to give you all the
It's a great
information
place.
and get you guys going. God bless you. Take care. Happy holidays for everybody. Merry Christmas and a healthy and a happy New
Thanks so
Year.
much.
My dear friend here,
All right.
Greg, and my co-host, Dylan May.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you.
Great to be a part
Thank
of
you.
this.
My pleasure.